Um, Today we're going to talk about how to connect authentically on camera, and this is a talk I've been giving since COVID was a reality in our lives because I think so many of us weren't doing anything like this on a day-to-day basis. We were having in-person meetings and loving them, and now that that isn't a reality for us, and we don't know for how much longer. It occurred to me that this is something I've been doing in my business for like 7 years. So I've always been doing virtual meetings. So this is a little bit about me. I know Anthony filled you in a little bit. So I'm a wedding planner. I own a business, Moxie Bride Events in Los Angeles. I'm also a wedding industry educator. Website is Renee Dalo for that. I teach wedding planners, specifically wedding planners, how to get better at their jobs and their lives. And then I also have a podcast called Talk with Renee Dalo, where we interview not just event industry professionals, but all creative professionals, because I think a lot of times in the wedding industry specifically, we get a little myopic in that we only talk to the same like 10 people and everyone's always hearing from the same people. And I think there are plenty of lessons to be learned from creatives in all stretches. So that's my podcast. But today we're going to talk about how to feel comfortable on camera, because in the last 7 years, every time I tell someone, oh, I don't do in-person consultations and I barely do in-person meetings, there tends to be this level of like surprise slash shock. Like, oh my God, really? You don't, what? You just you sell to people on like what used to be, it used to be Skype back in the day. And I was like, yeah, because Los Angeles has the worst traffic in the world. So for me to get an inquiry for an event and then drive for an hour to meet someone for a 30 or 45-minute meeting to then drive home for an hour, that's a significant amount of time. And you don't always get that back. You know what I mean? So really early on in my career, I thought if I can embrace technology and I can figure out how to do this effectively and also in a way that feels good and authentic, then I'm going to be able to maximize my productivity, and also, time is money. So if I'm spending, 5 hours doing a consult call and they don't book, well, then that's 5 hours I could have spent doing something else. When I'm doing these consult calls specifically via Zoom, I've gotten it down to a tight 35, 40-minute call tops, and I don't go anywhere. So I just sit right here and do it. And I haven't had a client yet say that they didn't want to do it that way. So today is the day you start feeling comfortable on camera. I'm going to give you some actionable tips and things you can do right now to make this better for yourself, because it is arguably the thing that I talk to people the most about, where they go, that's crazy, I would never do it. So now we have no choice. And I also think that because we've experienced this now, we've experienced the Zoom phenomenon, and we've all been, doing our jobs and tuning into these webinars and doing our business virtually. I think our clients, especially this next wave of people getting married or having events, I think they're going to want us to do it this way, because they figured out that it's really easy. So even if you never did it before, just stay open-minded. I'm going to talk you through it. Oh, here we go. So first thing I want you to do is just get your tech together. So I'm assuming by now you've all been on a Zoom. I mean, we're on one now, but I'm sure you've been on one that is not webinar focused, that is more just like a regular call. Zoom is having the best quarter of their lives, I think, right now. And then they also have Google Meet, which used to be Google Hangout, kind of the same thing. And then we also have FaceTime. Note about FaceTime, unless everybody has an Apple product, you can't use it. So when this first started going down, when COVID first started, I had a lot of people in different groups being like, I don't know how to learn how to use Zoom because I have FaceTime. Like, well, not for everybody. So figure out which of these platforms you're going to use. I used to use Skype back in the day. And now I've fully embraced Zoom for the past year. We've been using a paid Zoom account. So let's just go over the 3 different options. First, you've got Zoom. So Zoom is web-based video conferencing. You can get a free account. If you get a free account, you only have 40 minutes as a limit on your time. If you have a paid account, you can go for several hours. Also, if you have a paid account, you can pay to have a certain level of people attend. Now, for client calls, that doesn't matter. But I think my paid account, I can have like up to 100 people attend. And you can record. So that's really helpful for a consult call. A lot of times I will record the consult call so that I don't have to constantly be looking down to take notes. And then I send the recording to my assistant and have them take notes. I still take notes during the call, but sometimes, especially if it's very detailed, it's just easier to have that record of it. And you can tell, your consult, like, hey, I'm just going to record this real quick so that I have it to take notes. And no one has ever told me not to, as long as you're telling them that you're recording them, right? And then the most important thing about Zoom is that you can set it up so that your attendees don't have to register, and they don't really even have to have a Zoom account. Although, as I'm saying this to you right now, who doesn't have a Zoom account? It's a low barrier to entry to Zoom, which is why I think it's become so popular. We've also got Google Hangouts, which is now Google Meet. That is free. If you have a Gmail account already, it's already embedded in your account. In fact, maybe like a week ago, there was an update that said like Google Meet is now on the sidebar. So you can literally just open your Gmail, go to the sidebar and schedule a Google Meet with your email, anyone you have in your email account. Google Hangouts used to be that you had to install a Chrome browser plugin to use it. You probably still do that for Google Hangouts. But the easiest thing about Google Hangouts is that it integrates with your Gmail account and your Google account. And if you use Calendly, and probably Acuity does this as well, but I particularly use Calendly. If you schedule like a pop-up meeting on Calendly, sometimes called an ad hoc meeting, sort of an off-the-cuff meeting, it will automatically link to Google Hangouts or Google Meet. So it's pretty integrated. You don't have to fuss with it too much. My only consideration with Google Hangouts, Google Meet, is that I have found sometimes that the connection isn't great. It sometimes gets staticky and weird with the audio, and that might just be me. But it's been enough that I've been frustrated enough to not use it for something where I'm going to be like sharing my screen or doing something with video. And here's what else you need. You need a camera. 99% of you have these built into your desktop or laptop already. I use Mac products, so the camera built in is pretty good. If you don't have a Mac, or you have an older computer and you don't like the way you look on the camera, if it looks fuzzy or dark, you're going to want to get a web camera, which is so easy to get on Amazon. They're so inexpensive. And then you just put it right on top of your desktop or laptop. You're going to need a mic. Now, I'm a podcaster, like I mentioned. So I have this guy. I'm going to show you. That is a giant microphone. Do you need a giant microphone? No, you absolutely do not. Any sort of external microphone will serve you. If you have the Apple earbuds, the ones that are wired that have the microphone on the cord, just be sure that when you are doing anything on video, you're holding that cord away from your body, because the cord will scrape on your clothes and it'll create a sound that's really annoying. So if you're doing that, make sure you hold it away from your body. And then honestly, my like gold standard thing is everyone needs to wear headphones. Like, have you ever been on one of these calls with someone who's not wearing headphones and you get that feedback loop where you can hear yourself through their computer? It's unnerving. And it's something that I think our clients don't want to tell us, like, or potential client, if you're meeting with them on a Zoom call and they're like, they keep wincing, they keep making this face every time you talk. It's because there's a feedback loop because you're not wearing headphones. So I have these Apple Pro ear things, but then you know what? If I don't charge them, then I'm using these, my big fat podcasting headphones. And you know what? I'm not ashamed of it. That's what I need to do to make the sound quality good for everybody. I'm just going to do it. So you need a camera, you need a mic, you need some headphones. The camera and the mic, and actually the mic is built into your desktop. You don't need an additional mic if you don't want one. But the headset, please get a headset. Save everybody's ears. Oh, friends, if you remember nothing else from this presentation, please do this. Please hardwire the computer you use the most to your wireless router. no, none of us thought we'd be working this much from home. But if your Wi-Fi at home isn't great, the easiest way to get around that is to do an Ethernet. Just wire that up. You can get the wire on Amazon. It's super easy. I'm not a tech person, and I did it without any help from my husband. Plugged it in, changed it from Wi-Fi only to Ethernet, and it's golden. Especially if you're someone like me who does a lot of webinars, who's teaching a lot, you need to not rely on your wireless. Especially if you have kids in the house also doing like distance learning, forget it. Just hardwire your computer, at least for the time that you're doing client calls. All right. Lighting. So what's been interesting about this time in our careers is that so many of you out there are victims of horrible lighting. And lighting is the easiest thing I think you can fix. And it will really elevate everything you do on camera to make you feel better and to make the person who's watching you perceive you in a better way. I'm sure you've all been on a Zoom meeting at this point with someone who's sitting in a dark corner, and it makes you look at that person in a different way. It feels sort of ominous, right? And like the darkness doesn't feel particularly, it doesn't inspire a lot of confidence. And also you can't see people's facial expressions when there's bad lighting. And that is so key to connecting authentically on camera. So get good lighting. Here's how you do it. Your camera, first of all, needs to be slightly above your eye level. So, when you take a selfie from below and you get like 17 chins, we don't want that. Your selfie game should always be up high, and so should your camera. So that might just be a matter of adjusting your seat down a bit so that your camera can be slightly up, slightly above eye level. So if you look at my face, like right now I'm looking at my eye level, and now I'm looking at the camera, and it forces me to just lift my chin a little bit. And that puts me in the good light. But then it also makes sure that I'm not, showing you 12 chins. The light source should always be in front of you, 100%. So if you have a home with a large window, relocate your computer in front of it. Make sure, especially natural light, make sure it's coming right at your face, but not directly like a spotlight on your face, because that would look also insane. Now, the office that I'm in and out, my home office has no natural light. I have these 3 little tiny windows off to the side. So right now you're seeing me with 3 sources of light. I've got 2 on the side and 1 above me, but above my head, but far enough in front of me that I'm just getting like a nice even glow right now. And that's what you're going to want. 2 side lights and a middle light. I'll show you on the next slide. But most importantly, make sure it's all above you, but not directly above you. Because if any of these lights were directly above my head, what you'd be getting are long shadows down my face. And that also looks kind of scary, horror movie. We don't want that for you. Front lighting. So this setup here that I'm showing you in the photo, those 2 lights you can get on Amazon, and there's going to be a guide you can get by the end that will have like links to all the stuff I'm talking about. So these 2 lights are LED lights. They're not hot. They don't make you sweat. And I put them way in front of my desktop. But you have to make sure your brightest light source is directly in front of you, never behind you. Like, don't ever be backlit. Because then what happens is the camera on your computer, and any web camera, is designed to pick up where the most light is. So if the brightest light is behind your face, you're already going to be washed out because of the settings on the camera. Make sure that your light, like I said, is not overhead or pointed at you like a spotlight. It needs to just be like a nice little halo of light. Ideally, this person would have a third light source here or even above here. But at the very least, those 2 are what you want. And then ultimately, if you're going to get real serious, you want a ring light. So ring lights used to be known primarily for like beauty bloggers or, people who did Vine videos about putting makeup on, like YouTubers who are makeup artists. But the thing about a ring light is it's LED, so it doesn't get hot and it doesn't make you sweaty. And it provides like very constant light around your face. I don't have my ring light on right now because it's difficult with the desktop to put the ring light around it. I use it for when I record my course videos and stuff where there's a camera. But then this tabletop one is good if you're using primarily your phone. So if you're doing a lot of Instagram stories or Instagram lives specifically, the tabletop version of a ring light is like your best friend. It's like less than $100, and you put your little camera, you put your little phone in there as the camera, and you're great. And then you also get like a very pleasant like reflection in your eye. It's a very charming little look, and you can't see it in this photo, but if you look on the Amazon link on the guide, you'll see it's a very you can always tell. Once you know, you can always tell when someone's using a ring light, and they're pretty inexpensive. And you know, it's just a peace of mind that, like, you know, you're well lit. Move on. Because especially if you're sitting in the dark and you're wondering, like, can they even see my face? You know, you just want that peace of mind that you know that it's like you're well lit. And with the ring light, you don't need the three light setup. You just need the one ring light. It's great. Now, if your face is not well lit, if you don't have the big window, if you don't have 3 lights, if you're like, Renee, this is all a mess, I have none of these things, right? At the very, very least, you're going to create some bounce for you. And you're going to take a sheet of paper, some white paper. Here, I'll show you what I have. I keep this by my desk. It's just like a pad of calligraphy paper. It's 8.5 by 11, right? And I just open it up. See how much bounce that is? And I put it right underneath me. You see how much brighter I got? Did you see that? Let's do it again. Right under my face. And then all the light bounces off my desk onto my face. So at the very least, do that. Or if you have a clean white tablecloth, right, do that. What you want is a little bit of bounce on your face. And I know it sounds like I've been talking about lighting for like the last 10 minutes, but I promise you, if your clients can't see you, or if you look like you're scary in a horror movie, they're not going to hire you. So anything we can do to get you that clean, bright light is what we want for you. That's what we want. Now, consider your background. I do webinars and consult calls from my office, and I have for years. So we made this wall behind me. This is a legit wall. We just painted it white because I wanted to make sure there was enough light and bounce. And then these are just little decals. But this is legitimately my office. This is where I work. When I'm not doing this, I clear all of it away and I get to work. But if you are not used to that, if you're working from home for the first time, or you have a roommate situation, or you just don't want anyone seeing your house, totally fair. Get yourself a Zoom virtual background. Now, there's a lot of funny ones out there. I'm a big fan of the TV show Schitt's Creek. You can get like one that's like the Main Street, the motel. You can do that for probably any of your pop culture loves. But for work, you might want to consider getting something that's more custom. You can get your logo. You can go to Canva. Right now, what I'm showing you on the screen on the left is Canva has a whole category now called Zoom virtual background templates. And what you can do is upload your logo and then put your logo into any of these templates. So like this is conference call bingo, which I thought was really cute. But like, see how it's designed where there's that big blank space in the middle? That's for your head. So you can still put that up and you know, have your whole conference call and then no one has to see your house. It's great. It is like such a lifesaver. There have been times when it has been super messy in my office, or if I'm not in my office, if I'm on my laptop and I'm sitting like outside where I'm like, I don't really want everyone to see my backyard. Pop on that virtual Zoom background. Zoom comes with a few, like a handful, like palm trees and space. But Canva has ones you can customize with your logo. And also images from events you've done. And then Minted has even more beautiful ones that correlate with their stationery. So there's a ton of options for you. All you have to do is download it and then upload it to Zoom. It takes like 2 seconds. It's so easy. And then you can have a little fun with it. And then you always know that you're set, right? You don't have to really run around cleaning your house just because you have a consult call. And then here's the thing, guys, if you have a laptop and you're like, all of this sounds insane, I don't want to do any of it, just get a big old stack of books and put your laptop on the books. No one's going to see it. Everybody does it. And it's the easiest way to know where you need your laptop to be. And then just keep that stack of books stacked up somewhere. And like, those are the books you use when you're doing the conference calls. Like that's your book stack. That's it. There's absolutely no shame in this game. You do not have to invest a single penny, unless you want to, on making yourself look good in these calls. You can just pull lamps from other rooms if you need to. It's great. All right. So that's your tech. Now we're going to talk about yourself. Now, I just want to say for the record here, like, there is no benchmark for what makes you as a human good on camera. Like, I hear sometimes people say, like, I'm just not good on camera, as if that's like part of their personality. I don't believe that that's true. I believe that everyone can be good on camera, because what I'm asking you to do is just be a slightly heightened version of yourself. So we're going to talk about appearance. We're going to talk about active listening, and we're going to talk about how to guide and how to direct a sales call. Because these are the three most important things I think that will get you started. And then you'll be able to finesse it in a way that's authentic to you and your business. So sit up straight. And I know that sounds insane. It sounds like, of course, move on. But how many Zoom calls have I been on where I've seen people doing this? Have you seen this? Have you seen this horrible posture? And then, is there any way to look interested like this? There really isn't. This just looks like you're miserable. This is not a good look. But you sit up straight and you angle your head slightly forward, and suddenly you look very interested. So I'm telling you to go from this to this. It's like magic. And I know I can hear you thinking through the interwebs, well, that's not natural. Of course it's not natural. Of course it's not. But it's something you can train yourself and your body to do, so that it is what you do when you're on these calls. If you're on your calls with your family, you don't have to do it. But if you're on the calls with a client or potential client, absolutely take another minute to think about how you're being perceived, right? Body language is huge on these calls, because we're missing that energy of being in person with one another. And so to compensate, we have to think and choose intentionally our body language, and also what we say. And we'll get to that in a minute. Also, try not to make this face. This is a behind the scenes photo of a video shoot I did. And if you can't laugh at yourself, you have to be able to laugh at yourself. Zoom wardrobe. You guys, I'm wearing sweatpants right now. Good shirt, a little bit of makeup, sweatpants. So dress yourself well from the waist up. Funny story. So yesterday I was watching this Instagram live with a musician that I like. He's also a folk musician. He's nobody famous, but he was doing this Instagram live concert for some Canadian radio station, and he showed up with a tear in his shirt. Like on the, he was wearing a t-shirt, like it was a tear, like a hole on the seam of his shirt. And it was all everyone could talk about in the comments. Like every single person was like, hey, Noah, nice t-shirt. I'm like, this poor man is coming on here to perform for us. And it's beautiful, beautiful music. And all anyone wanted to mention and razz him on was the hole in his t-shirt. So make sure that you're dressed well from the waist up. Solid colors look way better than prints. I like to wear a solid color that has a little bit of like interest. You can't see because my hair is too long, but like a little bit of detail. I just prefer that. Layers really look best of all if you have like a tank top and a t-shirt. I mean, a tank top and a button down, or like a blazer over top of like a shell. All those layers look better. And also, if you're going to wear layers, make sure that anything white you're wearing is underneath something dark, because again, the camera is going to pick up the brightest light source. And if you're wearing bright white, then your shirt's going to look like it's glowing. Maybe just stay away from white altogether if you can. But yeah, I really just hit home, like the little poor Noah with his little hole in his shirt. That's all everyone wanted to talk about. So sad for him, because he was doing such a good job and everyone was focused on the shirt. So make sure your shirt doesn't have a hole in it. It's word to the wise right there. Okay, again, I know I said the internet thing, or like connecting with an Ethernet, was the most important, but this is actually the most important. When you're doing these calls, when you're doing webinars or anything, you have to look at the camera. You cannot look at your own face. I know it's completely tempting to do it, right? We, as humans, we want to look at ourselves. That's just the way we're built. You can't do it because it's going to appear that you're not paying attention to your client. So I'm right now looking at the camera. Can you all see me? This is me looking at the camera. This is me looking at myself. Do you see the difference? This is me talking to my own face. This is me talking to you through the camera. Tell me in the chat if you see the difference. I'm going to do it one more time. This is me looking at the camera, talking directly to you. This is me looking at my own face. And I don't mean my face in the photo. I mean my face in the Zoom window. It's different. It's almost subconscious, but your clients will feel like you're not looking at them if all you're doing is looking at yourself. You have to train yourself to look and talk directly into the camera. And that will take practice. So I like to practice it on all of my Zoom calls with people that are not clients. So I'm on the phone or the Zoom, not the phone. I'm on the Zoom with my parents now, looking in the camera, giving it all to the camera because it's easy to do with them. So that when I do it with a client, it feels really natural. Now, let me pause here and say, I did this webinar a few weeks ago and someone wrote to me and said, do you want me to stare at the camera the whole time? No, that would be creepy. I want you to look at the camera when you're addressing your clients. And then, you can look away. You can take a minute. You don't have to lock in with the camera the whole time, but the camera should be the place you go back to. That should always be your inclination once you train yourself, instead of looking at your own self, to look at the camera. It's an important thing. It will give you the best sense of connection. Here's the thing. You might need a little makeup, you guys. So, ladies, if you don't wear makeup usually, you still are going to need a little bit of makeup, because what I'm suggesting is a tremendous amount of light, and light will wash you out. Right now, I can tell you candidly, I have a little foundation on, a little blush, and lipstick, and that's it. So I don't think you need a full face of beauty queen makeup or like a drag queen level eyelashes, unless that's the makeup you usually wear. What I'm saying is you have to pay attention to how you look on camera more than how you look in real life. And I will say, if I'm doing a casual Zoom call, like with family, I'm not putting on a full face of makeup. I'm coming in fresh faced and they're going to get what they get. But when I'm meeting a client for the first time over Zoom, it is important to put your best foot forward, just like you would in an in-person interview. So a little bit of makeup, powder for sure, so that you're not shiny and sweaty. Same for the men. Men, if you never wear makeup, if you have a partner who does, borrow their powder and just give yourself a little pat down. It will just make a difference. It just will. And then for a fun cheat, Zoom has a touch-up my appearance filter. It is when you go, I'll show you one after at the end, I'll show you exactly where it is. It's under video settings. And all it really does is smooth you out a little bit. It's not going to erase a bad night's sleep. But it just gives you a little bit of I don't want to say, it doesn't make you fuzzy, but it just gives you a little bit of a beauty light. It's helpful. I have it on now. I have it on all the time, to be honest. Because why not? If Zoom wants to help me, I'll let them. Why not? More photos of me getting makeup on. That was the same shoot, different shirt. Let's see. There you go. All right, let's talk about active listening. I need a sip of water. Hold on. Okay, so active listening. Active listening is always important, especially during a sales call. But for video calls, active listening is 100% the job of a video call. So what is active listening? Active listening involves the listener, you, observing the speaker's behavior and body language. So it's not just what they're saying, but it's how they're saying it, basically. And also, especially if you're doing a sales call for a wedding client, like I would do, what you also want to observe is their body language together, how they are when together, right? Having the ability to interpret someone else's body language, it lets you develop a more accurate understanding of the speaker's message. So with video calls, the skill set, aside from looking at the camera and getting yourself together, the skill set then becomes listening to them, watching them, and letting yourself take it all in. It's one of the reasons I say you should record these Zooms, especially if it's a sales call. If it's the first time meeting them, record it, because you will be able to go back later and look at it, and you'll be able to figure out things that you didn't know, that you couldn't get just from a phone call. The way they look at each other, the way one part, one part of the couple will say something and the other person will go, I have a couple right now who I booked during the pandemic. The bride is very shy and the groom is very outgoing. And so when I asked them, why did you pick this venue? She said, it's close to home. And he looked at her like, we picked it because it's beautiful. And I said, well, it's both things. It's close to your house and it's beautiful. And immediately she said, I'm uncomfortable with this wedding. I don't want to be the center of attention. I feel like we wouldn't have had that exact conversation happen that directly without a video call, because she knew that I saw the exchange, right? It's a different thing. It's a totally different thing. So when you're doing your active listening, it's really important to give both verbal and nonverbal feedback. So a lot of times with video calls, the feedback I get from people that I talk to, just like you, they say, I don't know what to do when I'm listening. Right? Because we're not used to practicing active listening. So what I'm going to say is this. First of all, smile way more than you would in real life, right? I really think I'm hard pressed to remember a time that in a real life meeting, when someone spoke to me, my default was to go. But that's what you're going to do in a video call, because they need that constant reassurance loop that you're listening, that you're engaged, and that you agree with them, right? So you're going to smile way more than you think you should. I like to use really short affirmations. So if I ask a question and they start talking, I like to say yes, or great, or absolutely. Like, just sprinkle them in while they're talking for two reasons. One, you want to keep affirming them so that they keep talking. And two, you want them to know that the video has not frozen. I know it seems silly, but it works. And I like the affirmations to be really short, because I don't want to interrupt them so that they stop talking. I don't want to interject with a complete thought. I just want to say like, yes, yes. Sometimes I won't even use a verbal affirmation. Sometimes, and this is super nerdy, and I'm going to admit to it right now, if they're saying something I love, I will just give them a thumbs up, or I'll go like, yeah, I'll give them like a, yes, that's great. Like, would I do that in a real life meeting? Absolutely not. I would not be sitting across them in my office going like, if they said something I liked. But these are not normal times, friends. And I think a lot of times they are also self-conscious about being on video with you. So anything you can do to put them at ease, either verbally or not, or physically, yes, do it. Automatically do it. Also mirror their body language. So this happens a lot in the calls, especially if I'm talking to a couple. Sometimes I'll find either one part of the couple will do this when they're thinking. They'll give me a little, and I'll start doing the same thing, sometimes just to see if they'll notice, but also because mirroring body language creates a bond, and they won't even know that they're not taking it in consciously, but it's subconscious that they will see that you're mirroring them. Also use their names a lot. When I do a video chat, especially with a brand new client, I put their name on a Post-it and I stick it right on the desktop. So anytime I can sprinkle in their name, especially if I'm agreeing, oh yes, Christina, I agree, that's amazing, right? You want them, because what you're trying to do is create these bonds really through video. In person, you would have that energy. You would know if you liked each other in person because you'd feel it. You can't feel it in a video call. It's hard. It's really hard. And so these skills, these tools will help you. I also repeat a lot. So if I repeat their own phrases back to them, and I summarize their thoughts back to them. So in this example of this couple I booked during the pandemic, Christina said, we booked this venue because it was near our house. And then Gabe said, well, we booked it because it's beautiful. And I said, well, it can be both things. It can be beautiful for Gabe and it can be close to home for Christina. You're both right. But because I said their names to them, they're like, oh, she's paying attention. She gets us. She gets us. And I know it also might feel like these are inauthentic tips, but I promise you they work. And honestly, once they become part of your part of your workflow, they really do feel authentic, because I really do want them to keep talking, and I really do like them, and I really do want to get to know them more. And it's all just part of that sales arsenal that we have to be good at, in addition to being good at our actual jobs. Okay, so if you are someone, let me hear from you in the chat. If you are someone who thinks or has been told that they have a resting bitch face, just admit it in the chat. It's cool. That's fine. Like this slide is for you. With video calls, we have to let down the part of our ego, basically, that wants to be attractive. And do not be afraid to show expressions on your face. Because again, we don't have this in-person energy, we have to play it up a little during the video so that they can really see where they are with us, right? I sometimes am told the opposite, that I have like a rubber face, because I'll be on a call with a client and they'll say something I don't like, and I'll go, I will make that face. Is it attractive? Nope. Do I care? Not at all. Because if they say something awesome, I'm going to go, yes. And that also lets them know where we stand, right? If you have a resting bitch face, if you have a face that never changes, with eyebrows that don't move, it's going to be really, really hard for your clients to get a read on you, and for you to get that read on them, because what's going to happen is that they're not going to trust you. They're going to be like, oh, I don't know how that went. Did she like us? Did we like her? Did we like her? I don't know. I couldn't tell, right? You don't ever want anyone to get off a call with you and say, I can't tell how that went. They should be able to tell on your face what's going on, and just practice in front of a mirror. Because also, like the resting face, like I said, when someone else is talking and you're listening, I know I said smile a lot, but smiling like this for 10 minutes is insane. It makes you look nuts. So you have to come up with like a pleasant face that just means you're listening. Like just a pleasant face is all I'm asking for. And it's okay to practice it, because this is our jobs. At least now it is, right? All right. So here's the other thing about sales calls via Zoom. The nice part of it is that you can set it up so that they know exactly how long they're going to be on the call. So like I said earlier, my consultation calls with potential clients, I schedule them for a 30-minute chunk of time. And I know that's going to seem short to every single one of you, but I've been doing this for 12 years and I already know how I'm going to lead the call and what I need to ask them and what I don't. And I just set it up at the beginning. The first thing I do when we get on the call is I say, thanks for taking the time to speak with me today. As you know, this call is going to be 30 minutes. I'm going to ask you a ton of questions. Some of them you might not know the answers to. That's fine. I'm also going to be taking notes and looking away from camera. And so just so you know, that's what I'm doing. Now, why do I say that? Because they don't know what we're doing on this side of the screen. They really don't. They don't know if I have a dog at my feet or a kid behind me or my husband in front of me, or if I'm cooking dinner on the side. They don't know. And also, they don't know that I'm not on my phone. And that to me is the biggest thing. I don't want them to think that I am distracted by Instagram or Twitter or whatever, or someone texting me, because my time, this 30 minutes that we've scheduled, is time that I'm giving to them. And so I want to be super clear with them that if I look away, it's just to take notes. And almost every time I say this, they go, oh, thank you. Because I bet they've been on a call with someone who's been very distracted and they were left thinking, this person doesn't care about me very much. And that's not what we want. Now, I will say, if in the course of conversation something comes up, like they want me to look at a venue that they found, right? And I'm still talking about a consult call. So I don't know these people. We're still getting to know one another. If someone says, well, have you been to the venue? Oh, no, I haven't been. Oh, I will say, hold on, let me look it up. And I will tell them, I will talk out what I'm doing. Hold on, I'm just opening a window and putting the name of the venue into Google. Oh, here it is. Oh, and then I sort of narrate what I'm doing, or I share my screen with them so that they can see what I'm looking at as well. But it's not fair to the person you're on a call with to be distracted by your phone or by your life or by anything else. So if you set up the expectations and you let them know what you're doing, it will give you so much goodwill. Like they're going to be so into it. because you have been super transparent, and it's hard on a video call to get that transparency and that authenticity. So these little tips are going to help you get there. And here's the thing, what I want to leave you with the most, and then we'll move into some Q&A. I think I mentioned earlier, my favorite show is Schitt's Creek. This is from Schitt's Creek. But here's, everyone I talk to says they feel self-conscious on camera. They don't like the way they look on camera. They're too old. They're too short. They're too thin. They're too fat. They're too whatever. People are not thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. Here's a gift to me, for you, for your whole life. Everyone's basically thinking about themselves. So whether you think on-camera stuff isn't for you, or it'd be fine if you have to lose 10 pounds first, get that thought, just get it out of your head. Just remove it, get it out, just throw it away. Throw all those bad thoughts away, all those self-conscious thoughts. It doesn't matter, because what you're going to do in these Zoom calls is you're trying to connect, right? You're not trying to impress. You're not trying to be the most beautiful person in the room or the world. It doesn't matter. You are trying to be real with them. And also you're trying to get them to trust and connect with you, because especially for a sales call, that is how people buy. That is why they buy. They buy from people they know, like, and trust. And so these video calls have to they have to connect, right? And all these things, the lighting, the posture, how you look, how you put yourself together, how you look to the camera, the things you ask them, the way you engage with them, the way you set them up for success by telling them full transparency what you're doing. Like, all of these things, the sum total of all of these things will make you have a really lovely experience on video, and not be so self-conscious and not be so panicked about it. Because like I said in the beginning, I really don't think we're going to get out of this video conferencing anytime soon. I know in LA, I know we're way behind other places in opening up, and I think we're going to be in phase 1 for a little bit longer. But what I know is that we can't stop business, right? We have to keep commerce going. We have to keep selling. We have to keep going. Just know that most everyone is always thinking about themselves. They're not thinking about you the way that you're thinking about you. And so what I want you to do is go forth with confidence, even if at first you have to fake the confidence until you get some more confidence. I put together a resource guide for you. So if you just text the phrase "on camera," all caps, to 55444, you'll just get that automatically to your inbox. It's a shopping guide. It talks about the mics and the webcams and the lights and all the things we talked about. And it's just an easy way to just click through and shop, because I know I used to say when we first started that Amazon wasn't delivering non-essential items, but they very much are right now. So you can get all this stuff. You can get it in like 2 days and set yourself up and be great. And then here's all the places I am. I'd love to hear from you guys. I'd love to connect with you, obviously, and see how you do with your video calls. Instagram is where I hang out most, at Moxie Wright Events and Talk with Renee Dalo. And those are my websites. But I will stop sharing my screen so that I can answer some Q&A, because I can't see the chat at all. I can't see what's going on. Am I still sharing my screen? No, right?
Oh, you are good. We see you.
I'm good. Great. Let's see. Yes, you can get a Zoom background, Anthony. I'm sure do you have one that is right here for everyone to grab?
Yeah, our school, for awesome. Our students, yeah, we have our own Zoom backgrounds with different facades of the building, our design lab, so students can definitely use them. Yeah.
Love it. That is amazing. The text number is 55444.
55.
Yeah, 55444, and the word is "on camera," all caps. All caps. You guys had no questions? Come on, really? I mean, that's impressive. But yes, thank you, Anthony. Oh, Rachel, this is you. Is that resting bitch face? That's okay. Sometimes I have it too. I mean, I was on a Zoom call for my best friend's birthday. Like I said, I'm pretty casual on the Zoom calls for friends. And one of my other best friends she just had a long day at work, and she was literally on the Zoom call like this. And I texted her and I said, hey, you look miserable. Fix your face. And so that's what we say to each other now when I say, fix your face, when I think someone's looking, less than pleased to be on a call. So in your head, Rachel, when you do that, or when you think you're doing that, just hear my little voice going, fix your face, because it'll snap you out of it right away. I love that you guys made Zoom backgrounds. And you know what else I noticed too, in my market in Los Angeles, a lot of venues have now made their venue photos their Zoom background. So when they're talking to clients, you're seeing like, it looks like they're sitting in their ballroom or like in their garden, and it's lovely. It's a nice little tie-in. USC did it. USC actually did a virtual tour with us using all their photos. It was pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's pretty
so
cool.
Yeah, this is an example of our school background. So definitely see me.
Oh, wait, that's a Zoom background?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I legit thought that you were in like some office by yourself when we started talking before we went live. I was like, he's just there by himself. See, yeah. It fooled me. It fooled me. Right. Lori says no questions, but thank you for the lights on the lights. Yes.
We do have a couple of questions.
Oh, good.
Yeah. On the Q&A feature. So how do you say that politely to your students? How do I say,
don't have a resting bitch face? Is that which part?
Not sure. Let me go respond. Can you clarify?
Oh, the body language.
Body language. Okay.
Oh, like telling your students to have better body language?
Yeah.
I think, I mean, listen, you and I don't know each other very well, but I tend to be a pretty straight shooter. And I feel like anything I say to someone under the guise of like, I would want someone to tell me this, right? I would want someone to tell me if my body language was off-putting. Maybe don't say off-putting, but if I could improve on my body language, putting on their hands on their face, leaning on the computer. I will say I have a problem. I do like to touch my face. Like I will touch my face all the time when I talk, but leaning on the computer is a problem. You know what you might want to say, Eden, to your students is that there is like an acceptable range of how much of your body should be showing in a Zoom. Have you been there? Like you've been to the ones where someone's like this and it's super awkward, right? And then you've been at the ones where someone's sitting like this and there's no way you can connect with them because you can barely see them. So what I always say is like, you want like mid chest and up to be shown. Any more or any less is weird. It's off-putting. So that's what I would mostly focus on if you want them to stop like touching their face and whatever. Be like, when you do this, you're not in enough of the frame, right? You're not taking up enough of the frame. Or have you ever been on a Zoom call where someone is like this? Like, what is this? Why aren't they in the frame? Why can't they just sit in the middle of the screen? So maybe address it from that perspective on the frame and then say, when you're leaning on your hand, when you're touching your face, it's very off-putting. I keep going back to off-putting because that's how it feels to me, but there's probably a better word that's more you, Eden. And I just touched my face. Jenny, do you really need headphones when they're in the office behind closed doors? You do. And because it's not for the people in the room with you, it's for the loop of feedback. So what happens is if I'm not wearing these and I have the sound from Anthony talking to me coming through my room, then my microphone is picking up the sound from my computer and giving it back to you. And I would do it, but it's really annoying. I would show you, but it's horrible. It hurts your ears because even if you're not hearing exactly all the words, you're hearing this weird hum, this weird like staticky, I don't know how else to describe it. It's a weird hum. So I'm not doing it for the people in the room with me. I'm doing it for the people on the other side of the screen. And then Anthony wants to answer it. Did you want to answer it too?
Oh, no, I'm good.
Oh, you're saying that I'm answering it live. I did. I answered it live. Yeah. At first I thought that too. I was like, oh, it's so my husband can't hear my call. No, it's so that you don't get the feedback loop. Because if you do it once without it, you will immediately be like, oh, that's a problem. Because it really does sound not great.
Has a question on the chat feature. Can we have access to your slides later?
Yes. Will you email me? Email me at hello@Renee Dalo, and I'll just email you the file.
So
hello@Renee Dalo.
At reneedalo.com?
Correct. Yes. What is a, oh, thank you. Great voice and tone. Thanks, Cedric. What is a great speaking volume when speaking to a client? You know, it's tough because they can control the volume on their end. So if they think you're too loud, then they have that well within their control to do. I can tell you that I have this mic set to like, I don't know if you can see, that's my volume. So it's straight up and down in the middle, like it's just mid. But the only thing I will say about this, you've been on the Zoom with a shouter, someone who's just yelling for no reason. The nice part about having a microphone is that I already know I don't have to shout. If I'm going to raise my voice, it's for effect, not because I'm wanting someone to hear me. So I would say kind of go with the mid, like if you have a Mac and you have like the volume, I think, yeah, all of my volume is kind of always set right in the middle. So if they need to turn me up on their end, they can. And if they want to turn me down, they can too. But I don't ever want to have my volume up so high that they're like, ooh, right away. So I tend to just go to the middle all the time. Yeah. And I think the tone is just because I have a good mic, because you're not getting the tinny thing. And also, I don't know if you can see this. I have both this, which is it helps with like T's and P's, and then I also have this like hat on my microphone. So there's like two levels of like softening on my voice right now. So Jenny is asking, so turn off the speakers and use the headphone then, right? Yes. So what you want to do is set under your, so when you're in the Zoom, just to say Zoom because that's what everyone's mostly using. But if you're in Zoom right now, if you're looking at your Zoom screen and you go to the bottom left where the microphone button is, and you click on the little arrow that's to the right of your microphone, you can select your microphone and your speaker. So for most of you, if you don't have this set up, you're probably going to use the built-in microphone and the built-in speaker. Once you have headphones, you can select your speaker as your headphones. So I have these AirPods. I can select my speaker as the AirPods. And then that's my speaker all the time. And I also have selected my microphone as the microphone. So basically, yes, you're turning off the speakers and you're only using the headphones as your speaker. And then you can also do a test of the speaker and microphone before you start a Zoom. So like before you let anyone into your Zoom call, you can just try it out. And you can also adjust the volume on Zoom itself under audio settings. So you can really customize all that stuff. And the microphone levels on Zoom have like a full like green to red spectrum. So you can tell if you're super hot because it's going to go real high in the red on the high side. And then you can also tell if you're super low, you know, and then also on Zoom, you can click the automatically adjust microphone volume, which I think just levels you out. It just makes you not have such high highs or low lows. Oh, and then the video, to touch up your appearance. So again, on the bottom of your screen, to the left on the stop video button, there's that little arrow that points up to the right. If you click on that, then you'll see your video settings. One, that's how you choose your virtual background. That's how you would upload your school virtual background. And under video settings, that is the touch up my appearance. Another thing that I didn't mention, but I will now, if you're in that screen, in that video settings screen, there is also a selection for mirror my video. And so what that means is this: when we as humans look at ourselves, we're always looking in a mirror, right? So we don't actually know how we look because we are always seeing a reversed image of ourselves, and Zoom lets you do that. The one time I took it off, I was like, oh my God, is that how I look? Is that how I look to other people? And I didn't like it, and I put it right back on. So if you think that you look horrible on video, it might just be that you don't have the mirroring on. All the places you can find me on the interwebs.
All right. Well, thank you, Renee, for this fabulous webinar presentation. I'm sure our instructors, students, and everyone who's in the audience got some really great takeaways.